Hello, everybody. I'm Samira, and today I have with me Ring of Honor star Cheeseburger. Welcome to the YouTube channel.
Hello, Samira. Thanks for having me.
So, how you been doing during this quarantine time?
Just trying to stay busy, stay productive. Pretty much my only job is done right now with the quarantine, with wrestling being gone. So I've just been going to work out at my wrestling school, editing videos, studying my Japanese lessons. So just anything I can do to just stay productive and kind of keep my mind like busy.
What specifically have you been doing? Have you been binge watching TV shows as well, or have you watched anything good recently?
Yeah, I've been binge watching some TV. I actually just started watching a 90 Day Fiance because a friend was telling me about it, and it's absolutely awful, but I can't stop watching it. So, 90 Day Fiance, I've been watching that. I binge watched Tiger King, which was awesome. I've been playing a lot of video games too as well during my free time.
Have you watched Love is Blind? I know some people are saying 90 Day Fiance is similar to that as well.
That's what I heard too. I haven't seen Love Is Blind yet. There's another Netflix show that's coming out. People were saying it's like Love Is Blind, where like it's single people are on like an island or something like that. And I definitely that comes out in April. I definitely plan on watching that one.
Oh, is it a new show or is it like a show that's already been on TV? Like, is it X on the Beach or Love Island?
It's like Love Island. I heard. I haven't seen Love Island, but it's a brand new show that's coming out in April. It's like these single people are on this island, but there's like a robot that's kind of like an Alexa that
Oh
like it's like an
my
AI that like talks to them, and they like can't have any like intimacy, like they can't like kiss or like touch or really anything. So if you like, I think everyone has like prize money, and if you break the rules of like intimacy, you lose money. I guess it's just like, oh, do I want to be intimate with this girl I like, or do I want more money? It's something like that. That's like the hook of it.
Oh my god, that's interesting. I didn't hear of that.
Yeah, I'll see the trailer later. It sounds really terrible, so I'm definitely gonna watch it.
So let's get into our wrestling talks. So when did you start wrestling?
I started I started my original training October 25th of 2010. So October this year that'll be my 10-year anniversary. I started training at the Ring of Honor Dojo in Bristol, Pennsylvania.
Oh wow, congratulations. So
Thank you.
Ring of Honor taught you how to wrestle. Who specifically taught you to wrestle then?
My original trainers were Delirious, who's now the executive producer of Ring of Honor, and Daisy Hayes, who's one of the best women's wrestlers on the independents at the time, and she's now retired. But I'm still Delirious is my boss in Ring of Honor, and we still see each other and interact all the time. But those two were my original trainers, and like I couldn't ask for two better trainers than them. Like just the way they a lot of people are really good wrestlers, but a lot of really good wrestlers aren't good teachers, and they're both great wrestlers and also great teachers.
And why did you want to become a wrestler?
Um, it was it was like a weird kind of a weird journey for me because I had always been a fan as a kid watching it with my dad, and then around the time I feel like most fans have this period where like they kind of fall out of love with wrestling. So when I was about in high school, like from my like freshman to like junior year of high school, I stopped watching wrestling like completely. So from like '06 to like '09 or something like that. And 2010, I started really getting heavily back into wrestling, remembering why I loved it. So during that time, I remember that between that junior and senior year of high school is when we have to make big life decisions, even though we're just still teenagers. Where it's like, oh, what I want to do for college and what I want to do the rest of my life. You're expected to make like a huge life decision as like a 16-year-old. And I remember like looking in the mirror and thinking like, man, I really love wrestling. Like, and I found out the Ring of Honor school was about like 15 minutes from where I lived. And I was like, maybe I should give this a try. Like maybe I should like maybe this is something like I could do. Like I want to be like involved in wrestling somehow. So I contacted them of July 2010, and I went for a meeting with my parents. And I was 17 at the time, and my parents signed the waiver, and then I signed up for their October class.
Oh, how interesting. That's really cool. How long did it take you to train then?
For me, I had my first. It took me about a year and a half to have my first match. I debuted in like May 4th, I think 2012. So about a year and a half to my first match. Um, it depends, and a lot of people it depends. Some of my students have like debuted in as few as like 6 months. For me, it took a little bit longer. Um, but then once I debut, like I hit the ground running. So like my official first match was in 2012, and then it just kind of kept going up from there.
So, how did you come up with your cheeseburger gimmick?
So that's always the question I get the most. Like, no matter what kind of like interview I do or just like meeting fans, like so many people love to ask me that because it's such like a weird, unique name, especially for a wrestler. And it started as a nickname because when I started training, I was like incredibly skinny. So a friend of mine, the joke would always be like, "Oh, you need to eat some cheeseburgers to gain weight." So my very first road trip, whenever we stopped at like a rest stop, I had to get the cheeseburger every time we stopped. And that was like my friend's like workout plan for me, or like a weight gaining plan. Um, so over people just called me that as like a nickname. And then 2013, when I had like my kind of unofficial debut for Ring of Honor, there's a heel in the ring doing a segment, doing a promo, and I was doing ringside duty, like collecting the streamers, collecting the ring gear, like ringing the bell, like different stuff like that. So I get in the ring and like to clean out the ring, but the fans are throwing toilet paper and a streamer at the heel. I try and get the stuff out. He starts yelling at me on the mic for getting in on his TV time. So then he starts to yell at me on the mic. He asks me what my name is. I tell him my name, and then he says, "No, that's not good. I'm going to call you Cheeseburger because you need to eat some." And then an entire crowd, and this is in like Baltimore, Maryland, a crowd of like 800 people at the Du Burns Arena start all chanting Cheeseburger, just like completely like on the fly. And he beats me up, and I go to the back, and then my boss comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, did you hear that? Like, oh, we might have something with this cheeseburger gimmick." And my first reaction to it was like, "Oh, that sounds awful. I don't want to be a wrestler named Cheeseburger."
Oh my god, that's really interesting. I like that story.
It happened just completely legit, completely by accident. It turns to becoming like my ring name because I had been wrestling for a year before that under a different name, doing a mask gimmick, and then I had always had the Cheeseburger nickname, but I never wanted it to be my wrestling name. And then as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Oh man, this is awful. Why do I get to get stuck with this? This is my ring name."
So you do enjoy then cheeseburgers. Do you like anything on it?
Yes, I do. That's like the second most asked question. Like a lot of people, a lot of fans actually come to me for like cheeseburger recommendations. That they just assume that I love them, even though I do. But the interesting assumption to make. So like my perfect cheeseburger would be like medium well, probably Swiss or provolone cheese. Smoked Gouda is very good too, or cheddar. Um, Bacon, some onion, lettuce, and if you can find a burger place that has it, avocado is very good on the burger.
Then what is your favorite burger place to have it at?
Now I always ask this distinction: are we talking kind of restaurant style or fast food style, or both?
I'm thinking of like the style of like, we're talking about Five Guys, In and Out, Shake Shack, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, okay. So in that terms, In and Out's my favorite. Shake Shack's really good too. I'm not a fan of Five Guys at all. I don't like Five Guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people are surprised when I say that. I do not like Five Guys.
Especially
I
since they're common around here more than
Yeah,
like Shake Shack and In and Out.
yeah. I don't like Five Guys. There's something about it that just doesn't do it for me. When I went to Germany for a week, I actually had Five Guys at a mall there, and I thought it tasted better over there than it did in the U.S.
Have you been to Australia? Because then they have their Burger King, but they call it oh man, I forget the name, but they call it a totally different name.
Oh, really?
It's not Burger King. It's called I wish I could think of it. It's gonna be stuck on my mind the rest of the night now.
Now, is it a different franchise or is it Burger King just with a different name?
I think it might be Burger King with a different name. I have no idea. Oh, it's
Oh,
called Hungry Jack's.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know how different it is. Like I know it's the same and they have a Whopper and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure it's like
Uh,
the same thing, different name.
Wonder if it tastes better than Burger King here because I
It,
don't like Burger King.
same here.
Yeah.
Trust me, it does taste better over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like McDonald's way better than Burger King.
Oh, definitely.
And when I went to Japan, the McDonald's there had like a bunch of really different items. Like they had like a teriyaki burger, and they had like different like shakes and different like sandwiches and stuff.
Oh my God, now I want to go to Japan.
Yeah, yeah, their McDonald's is like pretty cool.
So is Japan one of your favorite places you've traveled to for wrestling?
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's by far my favorite place to go. I've been lucky to go there. It's been 5 times now, and I've only been to Tokyo, but I want to go to like see bunch more of the country. But just in terms of like the culture and like the people and food and like the wrestling, like the style of wrestling that they do, like going Japan's by far my favorite place in the world. Like I would like live there if I had the option.
Now, can you speak fluent Japanese or do you just know some of it?
No, not fluent at all. I'm like really bad with it right now because I haven't studied for like a year and a half. But I had studied pretty like religiously for about like a year and a half, 2 years, and I got good enough to hold a decent conversation with a mix of mostly Japanese and some English for words I didn't know. Um, and you know, if I got like lost or something like that, I was good enough to like have a conversation, like ask for directions, ask for help. But just like a casual conversation, I was decent enough at having. And then I eventually passed. There's like this the main test for Japanese is called like the JLPT, which is the Japanese language proficiency test. I cannot talk today. And I passed the lowest level, which is level 5. And I went to, I think they had the test at Villanova. Yeah, I went to Villanova to take the test, and I passed it. I took it in December, and I passed it like that February, and so I have the certificate for it. Then after that, I got like really lazy at my studies, so I gotta start getting back into it during this quarantine to kind of set myself up to do the next level.
There's an actual free app on the App Store called Duolingo. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, and it has a
Yes.
bunch of different languages that you can learn. And I use it for Arabic sometimes to like fresh up on my Arabic. So and it's free too. So like it's perfect app to learn a bunch of different languages.
Yeah, yeah, I know Duolingo. Yeah, I thought about using it to learn some Spanish as well.
So you were talking about how they have in Japan your favorite like kind of style matches. So what is your favorite style match that you wrestle in?
Mm, I it's tough. I love so many styles of wrestling. Not there's not like a style I dislike. Okay, I love so many. But the style of wrestling they wrestle in New Japan, it's probably my favorite to do. Just in terms of how they plan out and like structure matches and how like the emotion is like at the forefront for the crowd, not so much like the moves and like how it's like structured in terms of like looking more like a struggle and like fight to where like you really kind of bring out that emotion from the audience. Whereas it's like sometimes, especially in like U.S. Indies, like there's not so much like that drama and that struggle and that like real fight feel. It's just kind of like moves, which isn't like I'm not necessarily against, but it's just that New Japan style is like my favorite. But then on the flip side, as much as I love that fighting style, I also love uh, comedy wrestling and making the audience laugh and like having like a good time. And I think there's a place in wrestling for both kind of styles. And I managed to do both styles like in Japan. Like there's like one night I had this like super weird comedy match, and there was like another time where it's like me struggling from underneath, like fighting back as like the strong baby face.
That's really cool. Is that something that you teach your students at your dojo?
Yeah, I try and teach them a variety of styles. Like the name Worldwide Dojo came from like the concept of us teaching a bunch of different styles from around the globe. So we try and like structure like our advanced class with a bunch of different techniques from say British wrestling or like lucha libre in Mexico or like Japanese strong style or like traditional American wrestling. I try and like really give them like a broad sense of wrestling isn't just one thing. There's multiple different styles. I think once there's so many wrestlers, especially people in like America, that kind of have wrestling is one way when they've never been like, most of the time they've never even been like out of the country or like been to another environment where they had to adapt to a different style. So if you don't know, all right, hey, in lucha libre, like these move names are different and the structure of the match is different, the psychology is different. If you go to Mexico and try and like wrestle there, you're gonna have a really tough time because you don't understand that things are different here. But if I teach my students like, all right, here's how you work a lucha match, here's some way you base for lucha, or like here's like different things to keep in mind. When they go to Mexico, they'll have a much easier time adapting to that style.
Is that what made you want to start your worldwide dojo?
Um, in terms of what, like teaching like different styles. Uh,
Yeah, is that made what you made? Well, yeah, you know what I mean.
yeah.
I can't talk
Um,
either.
it was like not necessarily that, although that became like kind of like our mission statement of the dojo. So it's like the way I started Dojo is kind of another one of those things that just happened by just timing. Because in 2018, the Ring of Honor Dojo, which I had been a student of and also an assistant trainer at for like the past, I'd been assistant trainer for about 5 years there. They were shutting down in 2018 and moving everything to Baltimore. So a lot of my students that lived in the New Jersey and New York and like Pennsylvania area wouldn't have anywhere to go. So I had always, since I became a trainer, I had wanted to start my own school, but I didn't think it would happen so soon. I kind of wanted to. I thought about starting one like near the end of my career, not so much in like the middle of it. But the building was available, and I thought to myself like, I want to help my students still have a place to train, and I just thought like, let me just go for this, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I want to at least like try to make this work. So we started in 2018, and then May of this year will be our 2 year anniversary. So things are going really strong.
Oh, congratulations.
It's more so, thank you. It's more so like the need of wanting to help my students, and then after that, I kind of built on top of that, like from there.
Did you have any students graduate from the dojo?
Yes, yes, we've had a couple, and a couple have either wrestled for Ring of Honor or like currently under contract with Ring of Honor. Um, I have a couple that like were kind of left over from the final Ring of Honor dojo class. And they kind of stayed in the area and then migrated to my school. So they were already my students, but now they just train under like a different school name. So like two of my first students that like I helped train were Eli Iceman and Ryan Nova, and we have trios in Ring of Honor, and they're both under contract as well, and they're both like really talented and like really young, and they have a really bright future. And a couple of our girls that I've trained at the Worldwide Dojo have gone on to wrestle for Ring of Honor, like Vita Von Star and Damaris Dawkins. Like both of them have had opportunities with Ring of Honor.
Would you ever have the dojo face another wrestling promotion for like an event?
Yeah, I would. I would love that. That would be actually really cool. I've talked with other schools about doing something like that because we do like student shows to raise money like once or like usually once a month, like every other month. So friends and family come and we'll set some chairs up and then we'll have like a little like mini show and like just nice easy like family friendly show. And every now and again I'll bring in some of these students from the other local wrestling schools that need like some experience and need some reps and want to wrestle some new people. So we've had talks with like other wrestling schools about just kind of like interacting and like doing like some kind of talent trade and stuff like that. So like yeah, I'd be 100% down for that.
So now we were talking about throughout the conversations that you do work for Ring of Honor, and you guys went to Las Vegas right before the
Oh,
quarantine started going down. So how was your trip to Vegas?
oh man, man, I never. This is the first time you're gonna hear this story. I don't think I told you when it happened. But so basically, what happened was Ring of Honor had I think our 15th anniversary. 19th. No, I think I should know the name. 15th or 16th anniversary, something like that. We had our anniversary show in Vegas. It was March. I forget the date. It's like either end of February or early March. And this was like right before the lockdown happened. So we had a pay-per-view Friday and a pay-per-view Saturday, and or TV Saturday, and literally that week was when the NBA shut down. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, things are getting really serious. So I was like, ah, man, I wonder if we're still doing the show. But then Thursday came, which is when everyone was flying out because we usually fly like the day before for the pay-per-view. It's like, all right, well, everyone's still flying out Thursday, so I guess we're gonna like get through this weekend, and then probably everything's gonna shut down after this. Once like there's like the NBA shut down, and the XFL shut down right after that, and then I think soccer shut down. I was like, all right, this is getting really serious, so these will probably be our last shows for a while. So I was like, all right, we'll just get through this weekend, we'll have a good weekend, and then that'll be it. So literally, me and a friend of mine, we land in Vegas, and I get a text from our travel guy, and he's like, hey, I know you just landed. I'm sorry to tell you, like, the shows are canceled. And I'm just like, nah, we always joke with each other. I'm like, oh, like, like, stop messing with me. Are you serious? Like, stop messing with me. He's like, no, I wouldn't joke about this. And then we go down to the baggage claim, and then another wrestler comes up to us. He's like, hey, did you guys just get the email about the shows being canceled? I'm like, are you serious? Oh, man. So I call, like, another friend. I'm like, hey, man, like, where are you at? Because I'm in Vegas. The shows got canceled. He's like, I'm in Chicago on my connecting flight, about to head over there right now. I'm like, oh, man. So basically anyone he still made it over, but like anyone that didn't take their first flight, they canceled their flight. But then all of us that were in Vegas, they kept their return flights, and they kept our hotels for the weekend. So the next day we had like a big like talent meeting with the people that were there. Some people flew home, some people decided to stay in Vegas, and they're like, it was kind of like most of our mentality were like we were thinking like, all right, there's worse places to kind of be like stuck than like Vegas. So I mean, at least we have this nice hotel in this nice like town we can like stay in until we go back home and kind of get quarantined or locked down or whatever. So we just kind of like we all tried to make the most of it. The first day was kind of depressing because we were all just like super bummed out that the shows were canceled. But then after that, like we all just had fun like the next few days, and we filmed some empty arena matches at Ring of Honor. I don't know if they're gonna use them or not, but we decided like, all right, this might be our last weekend together, so let's just have a really fun time in Vegas, and we just all made the most of it.
Oh, that sounds like a fun time. You guys had like a little last time together before this whole chaotic situation.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like Ring of Honor is like one of my like it is my favorite place to work because in terms just because of the locker room. We're all just like a big family there, and it's like everyone's super cool, and like it's just nice to be hanging around everybody, and just we're all kind of like in the same boat where it's just like, oh, like this sucks. Like I remember there was like one instance that weekend where like one of the newer guys we signed from Australia, he like flew from Australia to his connection in like LAX, got the text that the shows are canceled, and then had to wait for another flight, and then had to fly back home to like Australia. Like the
Oh
same
my
day.
gosh.
Yeah.
How did he do that? That's a very, very long flight.
Oh man, it's rough. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had a friend from Ireland. She like landed, and they were like, "Yeah, the show's canceled." Like it's like right with like imagine like flying from like Ireland, landing like after 10 hours. It's like, yeah, the shows are canceled.
Oh my gosh. So what I did see when you went there, I remember you sending to me that you guys went to a Korean barbecue. You took everybody out there. So how
Yes.
was that?
Oh, it's delicious. That's my favorite Korean barbecue is the one in Vegas that I sent you, and there's actually one that I found near my dojo that I've been to a few times, and one of my like favorite things to do is just like in different towns I visit, like try and find like a good Korean barbecue and like take everybody to. It's like one of my favorite like it's just like a good fun like group meal to like eat together.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. If that was like, what's your favorite place or favorite restaurant around the world that you've ate at?
Um, Definitely that Korean barbecue in Vegas is one of them, but a lot of them are in Japan. I would say there's like a five-star sushi restaurant we always go to, and it's in the main airport in Tokyo, which is Narita Airport, and it's this like little small like sushi shop in there, and it's legit like a five-star like sushi restaurant. Like I remember having the best like fresh like tuna like I've ever had. Where it literally like melted in your mouth. It was so fresh. That's like always after the tour. Like we all have like a group and like find it in the airport and all sit down and eat like right before we all get our flights going our separate ways. That place is really good. There's like another place in Japan that's like a chicken restaurant, and they have just like all these like different chicken dishes, and they mainly special in like it's called a karage, where it's like these like boneless like pieces of fried chicken, but they put like different toppings on them, and it's like absolutely insanely good.
Oh, that sounds really cool. Is there a restaurant that you haven't tried yet that you really, really want to try?
I haven't tried yet. Not sure. I'm sure there's something to think of. I haven't had. I will say not so much a restaurant, but I will say I haven't had an authentic like lobster roll and like clam chowder from like Boston. So that's on my like bucket list to have.
Have you ever had the heart attack grill when you were in Vegas?
No, no, I haven't. I actually went past it because it's on like Fremont Street, which is where we all kind of like went and like partied at. I saw it there, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was there. There's a Heart Attack Grill, but I haven't eaten there yet. And I feel
You've
like that
seen
might be,
like you've
it
seen the
might be,
videos.
yeah, it might be too intense for me. I don't know. It might be way too intense.
Oh my gosh. So, do you have a dream opponent that you would love to face whenever you retire from wrestling?
Yeah. There's a lot of people I still want to wrestle. I would love to have a match with either Tanahashi or Okada in New Japan. I've wrestled pretty much everybody in Ring of Honor, except for maybe like Bandito, and I would really like to have a match with Bandito. But for the most part, everyone in Ring of Honor I've always kind of been in the ring with in some capacity. There's a lot of New Japan guys I would love to have a match with. For WWE, I would love to have a match with Kushida too. Kushida or Nakamura, like both of them would be really good. Oh, Daniel Bryan too. Daniel Bryan would love to have a match with. He's definitely one of the top three matches for me.
So, if we ever return back to the normal world, who would you hope to face in this 2020 year?
Uh, I had a bunch of really good matches over the last few months. I would love to have another match with Silas Young in Ring of Honor. I feel like he's one of the guys I have like really good chemistry with. Also, Jay Lethal as well. I had like two or three singles matches with him when I was like really young and like really new. So I would like to have one now that I'm like way more experienced, like way more confident, and just see how we like kind of match up.
Do you have any advice for any of the students that are watching right now about wanting to get into the wrestling business?
My biggest advice would be do your research and um, really, really do your research about if you want to step into wrestling, about what school you find. Because so many times there's like a lot, especially in this area, there's like a lot of schools around, and not all of them are like of a quality where I would say recommend them. Um, and I think that comes with just doing your research. And whenever I have a student that wants to join my school, I always encourage them to come and like have a meeting and like be face to face with me, and just that, it's way more personal being able to talk face to face than through email. And then I always invite them to stay and watch the class because I think if there's a school that like won't let like say a prospective student like come and watch a class, I think it's because they have something to hide. But I always open my school up to people wanting to come. Like, I'm going to sit on a train, like, see what we do, like, see what the process is. So that way, you at least know what you're getting into. Because, like, as much as we're a school in a business, I also don't want people to kind of come in and get in over their head, where it's like they think it's one thing, and then they come in and they realize, oh, this is way harder than I expected, and they kind of like end up, just wasting their time and wasting their money, and then and kind of like just they kind of don't do their research and they get in thinking it's like going to be pretty easy, but then they feel like they can't hack it. And I don't want someone to kind of have that terrible experience. So I always just welcome, just come, like, always go, like, go see what the class is about, and talk to the students that are there, and like get stories, ask them how the environment is, ask them if it's a positive environment, ask them like how the trainers are, if the trainers are willing to stay after and like help you, or can you go to them for advice, because I've had so many students come from other schools where they talk about like how negative the environment was, or like how certain trainers like didn't want to like like help them, or like how the environment was just like not productive for learning. So I always try and keep the Worldwide Dojo as like a very good place for learning, very positive. I like seeing people grow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So my final question for you, I do this in all my interviews. I like to give a fun question now. So like we were talking about all this quarantine and the coronavirus, what's the first thing you're gonna do once this is all over?
Definitely get some sushi. My favorite sushi place is closed right now. So that's definitely the first place I'm going.
Well, thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.